mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, when you get the true intuitive playing, there will be no need for instructions or questions as to how to do the sadhana. The sadhana will do itself under the light of the intuition. With always our love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Om Sri Aurobindo Mira. Open my mind, my heart, my life to your light, your love, your power. In all things may I see the divine. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Book 6, The Book of Fate, Canto 1, The Word of Fate, page 425. Then might the sage have spoken, but the king in haste broke out and stayed the dangerous word. O singer of the ultimate ecstasy, lend not a dangerous vision to the blind, because by native right thou hast seen clear. Impose not on the mortal's tremulous breast the dire ordeal that foreknowledge brings. Demand not now the Godhead in our acts. Here are not happy peaks, the heaven limbs roam, or Kailas or Vaikunth's starry stare. Abrupt, jagged hills, only the mighty climb, are here where few dare even think to rise. Far voices call down the dizzy rocks. Chill, slippery, precipitous are the paths. Too hard the gods are with man's fragile race. In their large heavens they dwell exempt from fate, and they forget the wounded feet of man, his limbs that faint beneath the whips of grief, his heart that hears the tread of time and death. The future's road is hid from mortal sight. He moves towards a veiled and secret face. To light one step in front is all his hope, and only for a little strength he asks to meet the riddle of his shrouded fate. Awaited by a vague and half-seen force, aware of danger to his uncertain hours, he guards his flickering yearnings from her breath. He feels not when the dreadful fingers close around him with the grasp none can elude. If thou canst loose her grip, then only speak. Perhaps from the iron snare there is escape. Our mind perhaps deceives us with its words and gives the name of doom to our own choice. Perhaps the blindness of our will is fate. He said, and Narad answered, not the king. Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, taken from the collective works of our Lord Sri Aurobindo book, The Mother with Letters. Part 1, The Mother. Chapter 5, The Mother. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo writes, if you want to be a true doer of divine works, your first aim must be to be totally free from all desire and self-regarding ego. All your life must be an offering and a sacrifice to the Supreme. Your only object in action shall be to serve, to receive, to fulfill, to become a manifesting instrument of the divine Shakti in her works. You must grow in the divine consciousness. You must grow in the divine consciousness till there is no difference between your will and hers, no motive except her impulsion in you, no action that is not her conscious action in you, through you. Until you're capable of this complete dynamic identification, you have to regard yourself as a soul and body created for her service, one who does all for her sake. Even if the idea of the separate worker is strong in you and you feel that it is you who do the act, yet it must be done for her. All stress of egoistic choice, all hankering after personal profit, all stipulation of self regarding desire must be extirpated from the nature. There must be no demand for fruit and no seeking for reward. The only fruit for you is the pleasure of the Divine Mother and the fulfillment of her work. Your only reward, a constant progression in divine consciousness and calm and strength and bliss. The joy of service and the joy of inner growth through works is a sufficient recompense of the selfless worker. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, but a time will come when you will feel more and more that you are the instrument and not the worker. For first, by the force of your devotion, your contact with the Divine Mother will become so intimate that at all times you will have only to concentrate and to put everything into her hands to have her present guidance, her direct command or impulse, the sure indication of the thing to be done and the way to do it and the result. And afterwards, you will realize that the Divine Shakti not only inspires and guides, but initiates and carries out your works. All your moments are originated by her. All your powers are hers. Mind, life, and body are conscious and joyful instruments of her action, means for her play, mounts for her manifestation in the physical universe. There can be no more happy condition than this union and dependence, for this step carries you back beyond the borderlines from the life of stress and suffering in the ignorance into the truth of your spiritual being, into its deep peace and its intense ananda. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, While this transformation is being done, it is more than ever necessary to keep yourself free from all taint of the perversions of the ego. Let no demand or insistence creep in to stain the purity of the self giving and the sacrifice. There must be no attachment to the work or the result, no laying down of conditions, no claim to possess the power that should possess you, no pride of the instrument, no vanity, no arrogance. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, nothing in the mind or in the vital or physical parts should be suffered to distort to its own use or seize for its own personal separate satisfaction the greatness of the forces that are acting through you. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, let your faith, your sincerity, your purity of aspiration be absolute and pervasive of all the planes and layers of the being. Then every disturbing element and distorting influence will progressively fall away from your nature. Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the last stage of this perfection will come when you are completely identified with the Divine Mother and feel yourself to be no longer another and separate being, instrument, servant, or worker, but truly a child and eternal portion of her consciousness and force. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, always she will be in you and you in her. It will be your constant and simple natural experience that all your thought and seeing and action, your very breathing and moving, come from her and are hers. You will know and see and feel that you are a person and power formed by her out of herself, put out from her for the play, and yet always safe in her, being of her being, consciousness of her consciousness, force of her force, Ananda of her Ananda. When this condition is entire and her supramental energies can freely move you, then you will be perfect in divine works. Knowledge, will, action become sure, simple, luminous, spontaneous, flawless, an outflow from the Supreme, a divine moment of the eternal, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. The one whom we adore as the Divine Mother is the divine conscious force that dominates all existence, one and yet so many-sided that to follow her movement is impossible even for the quickest mind and for the freest and most vast intelligence. The Mother is the consciousness and force of the Supreme, and far above all she creates. But something of her ways can be seen and felt through her embodiments, and the more seizable because more defined and limited temperament and action of the goddess forms in whom she consents to be manifested to her creatures. Lord Sri Aurobindo continues to say in chapter 6 about the Divine Mother and says, there are 3 ways of being of the Mother, of which you can become aware when you enter into touch of oneness with the conscious force that upholds us and the universe. Transcendent, the original Supreme Shakti, she stands above the worlds and links the creation to the ever unmanifest mystery of the Supreme. universal, the cosmic Mahashakti. She creates all these beings and contains and enters, supports and conducts all these million processes and forces. Individual, she embodies the power of these two vaster ways of her existence, makes them living and near to us, and meditates between the human personality and the divine nature. Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the one original transcendent Shakti, the Divine Mother, stands above all the worlds and bears in her eternal consciousness the Supreme Divine. Alone she harbors the absolute power and the ineffable presence containing or calling the truths that have to be manifested. She brings down from the mystery in which they were hidden into the light of her infinite consciousness and gives them a form of force in her omnipotent power and her boundless life and a body in the universe. The Supreme is manifest in her forever as the everlasting Sachidananda, manifested through her in the worlds as the one and dual consciousness of Ishvara Shakti and the dual principle of Purusha Prakriti, embodied by her in the worlds and the planes and the gods and their energies, and figured because of her as all that is in the known worlds and in the unknown others. All is her play with the Supreme. All is her manifestation of the mysteries of the eternal, the miracle of the infinite. All is she, for all are parcel and portion of the divine conscious force. Nothing can be here or elsewhere but what she decides and the Supreme sanctions. Nothing can take shape except what she moved by. The Supreme perceives and forms after casting it into seed in her creating Ananda, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Prayers and Meditations, January 6, 1914. Thou art the one and only goal of my life, and the center of my aspiration, the pivot of my thought, the key of the synthesis of my being. And as thou art beyond all sensation, all feeling, and all thought, thou art the living but ineffable experience, the reality lived in the depths of the being but untranslatable in our poor words. And it is because human intelligence is powerless to reduce thee to a formula that some a little disdainfully label sentiment, the knowledge that it is possible to have of thee, but it is surely as far from sentiment as it is from thought. So long as one has not attained this supreme knowledge, one has no solid basis or lasting center for one's mental and emotional synthesis, and all other intellectual constructions can only be arbitrary and artificial and vain. Thou art eternal silence and perfect peace in what we are able to perceive of thee. Thou art all the perfection we must aspire, all the marvels to be realized, all the splendor to be manifested. and all our words are but children's babblings when we venture to speak of thee. In silence is the greatest reverence. Prayers and Meditations, January 7th, 1914. Give them all, O Lord, thy peace and light. Open their blinded eyes and their darkened understanding. Calm their futile worries and their vain anxieties. Turn their gaze away from themselves and give them the joy of being consecrated to thy work without calculation or mental reservation. Let thy beauty flower in all things, awaken thy love in all hearts, so that thy eternally progressive order may be realized upon earth and thy harmony be spread until the day all becomes thyself in perfect purity and peace. Oh, let all tears be wiped away, all suffering relieved or anguish dispelled, and let calm serenity dwell in every heart and powerful certitude strengthen every mind. Let thy life flow through all like a regenerating stream, that all may return to thee, that all may turn to thee and draw from that contemplation the energy for all victories.